Hey everybody, this is Aaron. I'm part of the development team for Vantage, and you're at IAAPA 2018. We're just going to give you a little update on what Vantage is. As you can see, Vantage is a platform that's based all around your guest experience, elevating your guest experience, then deriving a bunch of customer insights into your operations. Let's give you a little bit of example of how this works. All of your guests are wearing smartbands, kind of like these, and all those smartbands are being read by smartband readers throughout the experience, throughout your park. Those are done both at kiosks, long-range readers set up throughout the park, at the bottom of a slide, at the top of a slide, even at the exit or run out of the slide. This can do attractions as well, theaters, kind of you name it, restaurants, restrooms, kind of anywhere that you want to pick up a data point, we want to pick up data and then deliver it to you in a way that's very intuitive.
Your guests interact with the system using kiosks and the mobile guest app. And your frontline staff will utilize the customer service app, which is a 7-inch touchscreen that is utilized across the park. Your in-field supervisors use the operator mobile app, while your upper management is using the operator portal to make long-term decisions.
So, we thought we would give you a little bit of insight into what the guest experience is. This is a Vantage kiosk. It's one of the ways that guests can interact with the system, and we'll just show you a little bit about how that works. So we take our guest wristband, tag in, and here is the interface the guests will see. We've set this up into some bite-sized chunks that guests can use. So number one, make my day. This is where we want to personalize the experience of the entire park around your guest. So as a guest, I'm going to choose my favorite colors. I'm going to go cool here, which are blues and purples. There you go. I could have just as easily chosen any one of these other two, and we can have a bunch more that are customized to every single park that we're out there. I can also choose my favorite music. 90s music. I'll go with 80s today. How about that? Here's the list of songs. What we've done is try to streamline the experience here at the kiosk. We can go into much more depth with things like this on the mobile app. So if I select yes, now my music is set to 80s. I've got my blue theme that you can see here. You can see it on the app, but you can also see it as you go through the park. We're about to go on a ride where all of the park will kind of bend around what I just chose. We can also look at badges. So here's a situation of a badge. I want to eat 3 hot dogs in one day, I'll gain that badge. So we want to motivate guests to do what you want them to do. If that's buy hot dogs, so be it. We'll build a badge that works with that.
Next, we have an area called Friends and Family. It's where you can link and unlink bands and find your friends and family across the park.
So I'm going to pick up Tanya, and look, she's at the Flow Rider right now. I can look at the entire park as a whole. I can see where my friends are. I can even leave messages back and forth and let them know to meet me at a restaurant after this specific ride is over. If I came in with a child, I'd have access control abilities to be able to say, I don't want my child to be able to go on thrill rides, for instance, or on this ride or in this theater, or even to be able to leave the park without me. So we have full control over what my child can do. It gives me as a parent a sense of security and my child a sense of freedom. We also have Park Perks. Park Perks are a way of delivering a customer redemption, a guest engagement platform, at the same time as helping load balance your entire park. What I mean by that is looking at current values. Here we have the Abyss. It's worth 75 points. Down here, the Raft Battle is worth 30. That means that the Abyss has a shorter queue line than Raft Battle. So we're going to try to drive people to that shorter queue line, get them to earn 75 points. It's going to help load balance your park, and at the same time, give them more points to redeem for cool things around your park and engage with your park. The last bit we'll talk about out here are speed keys, Speed keys are a way of earning credits or buying credits and then reusing them across the park for front of line access. So you can reserve a speed key on one of your favorite rides, and now instead of 20% of your guests buying an elevated park ticket to get on front of line access to everything, 80% of your guests are buying some sort of front of line access, but they will only go on 1 or 2. Because of these long range readers that we have, we're constantly monitoring the dispatch rate of every single slide.
And so as we do that, we can siphon off more speed key dispatches into every ride.
Here we are, we're at the top of our attraction. This happens to be the Abyss. Now we just saw the Abyss out there. It was worth 75 points. What you're about to see is me tag into this tag up station. It's going to give me my 75 points. The 80s music is going to start playing. We're going to see all those blue and purple lights that we liked from before. And now it's going to give me a targeted advertisement, sending me to a specific spot in the park based on what I've done in the past and where I want my guests to go. So let's do that right now. Oh, there are my points. You can see my blue and purple. You can hear my 80s music, little Run DMC meets Aerosmith. Colors have changed within the flume, and now we've gotten to a place where the entire experience is bent around my personality, and I get to listen to what I want, and I get to see what I want as I go down this attraction. The system is also built with a brand new safety dispatch system. Basically, everything that goes into the slide has to come back out before that light will turn green again. So that means it's not just a matter of going in and tripping a sensor. Now it's reading every single tag that goes in, including the ride vehicle, and it's got to come back out. So it's a much safer system inherently, just by the very nature of what it does. Let's go take a look at the points next, and we'll go from there. So we just completed our first ride on the Abyss, and now we're coming back here and we're looking at our app. So the app is just shown up here on the screen, and as you can see, here's the app. It looks a lot like the kiosk. One of the things that's really important to notice here is my points. So you can see I just earned 75 points for being on the Abyss, and I now have a total of 7,685 points. The other thing that's really important here is that we have the ability to do more targeted advertising. So in this situation, it's telling me, congratulations, you got 75 points, go over to the food and beverage stand. But this could just as easily say anything else that you want that's important to your park about driving people to where you want them to be. Now, some of that may be with load balancing to make sure we go to an area of the park that is underutilized, but it could also be a deal that you've made with a local restaurant, and because I've been on the Abyss now, you give me a free code to go somewhere else and get some sort of discount at a local restaurant. I'm going to put this back and we're going to go take a look at how we can integrate with some other partners. So Vantage can integrate with a large number of suppliers within the industry. Here we have some Tiburon lockers. Very easy for us to use the same exact wristband to open up a locker. Here we go. There's my locker, number 101. This could be any other locker company that we have integrations with. Anyone that can use RFID, we can use this. Now, what's important here is understand that we want to capture the guest data as well. So what did they do before they came to the locker, and what did they do after they left with the locker? That's really, really important for us to understand how your guests behave and what they do around your entire park. Next, we're going to go spend some time looking at the points that we just earned and redeeming them at a food and beverage outlet. So here we are, we're at our food and beverage concession stand, and what you'll find are two things here. Number one is a tag-up station, just like we saw before. And number two is what we call our customer service application. This is a touch screen that the food and beverage staff would be using to interface with me, the guest. So first, as a guest, I'm going to tag in here. There's my 7,685 points that says I can redeem. And over here is a CSA, customer service application, that shows me my name. So as a staff member, I can now greet my guest by name. I can say, welcome to Chudder's Chuck Wagon, and you have 7,685 points to redeem. What can I redeem for you? And it gives me a list of everything that's available for redemption right now. So next, we're going to go take a look at access control. So now we're at access control. The system can create access control not only for your family, like we were talking about me for my son, but also for the system itself for all of your guests. So as an operator, you can choose to use this for an entitlement, say for a show. So let's say here's a wristband and we're about to go into a show. So I can tag this. You'll see access denied shows up, but this could easily be customized to say, well, if you go over to the box office within the next 10 minutes, you can get 10% off your discount for the next showing. So we're going to, again, try to motivate your guests to go to the places that you want them to go and spend money the way you want them to spend money. This wristband here happens to have access, so we'll do that as well. And as you can see, green light turns on, access granted shows up. Again, customized message is very feasible, and now I'm allowed in. Next, we'll go take a look at the operations. So now we just completed the guest experience, and we're going to look at the operations experience. This is an operator app right here, again, projected from my phone. And what you'll see are a number of tiles. These tiles can be customized for however the user of the operator app wants them to be. So you can see our current attendance, and total exits for the day. This is all in real time. And here, let's look at this one. So if I'm in charge of dispatch rates and flow through, I can take a look at this one. So here I look at all of my dispatch rates across all of my slides or attractions, and it'll notate, the system will notate, if there's an issue with one that's outside of a standard. So the Boomerango here is sitting at 54 seconds, an average dispatch rate over the last 10 minutes, and when I click in, you can see actually over the last 40 minutes, it's been outside of its standard. So what we can do is take some data overlays and try to understand what's going on. So for instance, here's flow rate, this is gallons per minute, and you can see it's sitting right around 5,000 GPM, and that's about standard for a Boomerango like this. So that's not it. We can even look at, let's say, rainfall or cloud cover. There we go, rainfall. And you can see almost no rainfall has happened over the course of today. That certainly is not what's causing any kind of delay with our dispatch. So why don't we look then at staffing? And you can realize here that there is a staff change right at 40 minutes ago. Nadia had stopped and Philip picked up. And obviously when that happened, there was a change in the dispatch rate. So now we have the information we need to go make a specific change to our environment to make sure that this comes back down. Maybe that's helping Philip out with some more assistance. Maybe that's bringing Nadia back to do some training. Either way, we now know and have more information than we did when we started to understand how to fix this and create operational efficiency. We'll do one more as well. From a food and beverage standpoint, let's say I'm in charge of mobile carts throughout the entire park. I want to make sure that I put the carts in the right area of the park where the people are. So I look at my overall pie chart and I can see 35% of all people are in Happy Town. But I want to look at a dispersion of a higher concentration of people. So here are my 13 to 17 year olds, where 62% of all of them are in Zap Cove, which is a totally different area of the park. Now, to get the right kind of food and beverage in their hand, I want to look at what my ancillary sales are. So I come here to ancillary food sales, and I look at 13 to 17 year olds, and I realize churros are the hot seller. So now I know to dispatch my churro cart to Zap Cove where all of those 13 to 17 year olds are, and we're going to make the biggest amount of money with the highest amount of per caps available. Now we're going to look at a different way that the system can monitor your site. We just looked at some charts and it allowed your operators to really deep dive into some areas. But let's say we already knew that that was a criteria we wanted to look at. Well, the system can monitor that for us. And here are some examples. Here is a phone with the operator app that your food and beverage manager is carrying. Here's one that your operator is carrying. And here's one that your public space team is carrying. So the system can be monitoring all that. Now we don't have a live system here in the park, in the trade show. So we do have this phone, and this is representing the system actually seeing the correct criteria happen. So let's use that Philip one as an example. The criteria is that the dispatch is outside of its standard and that there's been a shift change. So we have something that the system would then be monitoring that for. So now you see a push notification happening to the operator's phone and not to the others. This says, attention, Boomerango dispatch delay, shift change may have caused this delay. You now know, without having to go and look at any of that other information, that your guests and your operators need to be looked at in a different way. There's other ways we can do this. Guest concentration, like we were just looking at for food and beverage, shows up right here on your food and beverage phone. So it's saying Zap Cove, large concentration of 13 to 17 year olds. Churros are a favorite food of this demographic. Now there's some other things that the system does. We can put readers inside of restrooms, and those restrooms can then be monitored in the same way. So let's say normally you put a rotation of your public space team that's constantly going around and looking for cleaning restrooms. In this situation, we can look at the exact time when a certain number of people have gone through a restroom. So let's hit this button. Now you can see right here that it says 300 people have visited the East men's restroom within the last 45 minutes. It's time to dispatch your public space team. This will allow you to create better efficiency and ensure that the bathroom is cleaned when it needs to be cleaned. We can also do this with missing children. So here's what's really interesting. Let's say mom is very distraught. She comes up to one of your staff members that's holding an operator app, and she says, I can't find my son. They can scan the wristband of the mom. They'll be able to see information about who their son is because they've all come into the park as one. And then we'll be able to see where their child is. So from a mapping standpoint, like we showed earlier, you'll see that. But we can also send a push notification with the son's information to your entire park. So let's do that. Now in this situation, all three of these operator apps are buzzing at one time. They're sending the push notification out, and they're all telling the app exactly who that person is. The name is Murray, 8 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes. And if we have a picture of that child, we can even push that as part of the push notification. So as you can see, the system is built to make your operation more efficient. So here we are at the operator portal. Everything we just looked at was all about real-time data to make decisions in the day for the day. Well, now we're going to look at some historical data that takes place in our website. So we call it the operator portal, but basically this is where your upper management, your operational management would go to look for historical data and some predictive analytics. So we'll take a look at a few of these things. Let's take Philip, for instance. That was the poor lifeguard who had some problems dispatching. And we'll look at an area of that they're in. So here we are under staff performance. And up comes a chart that shows exactly how people dispatch based on the number of ride occupants. So here we have ride vehicle occupants over here. You can see the minimum dispatch threshold that's been set here. That's something the system helps you set to understand how quickly or how slowly would be out of range. So we'd have an average dispatch rate, too high dispatch rate, and a too low dispatch rate effectively. You can see here, this is Philip, and he's actually doing really well on single person ride vehicles. But as soon as we move up to multi-ride vehicles, let's say 3, he suddenly becomes very deficient. He's underneath of that minimum dispatch threshold. We'll take a look at 4s as well. Go. And again, underneath of the minimum dispatch threshold. This is telling us something. It's telling us that he does really well on singles and not so well on multiple. So now we have the knowledge that we need to go talk to him and ask him if the ride vehicles are too heavy, if there's too much distraction with the extra people, and it gives us the ability to do a proper investigation and make sure that our staff is as efficient as possible. There's some other things that we can do with this system. Let's look at some long-term planning.
One of the examples we can look at is attraction use in our entire park. So here you can see all the attractions in our park. You can see the number of uses of each of those attractions, so our most popular or most visited attractions here, in this case would be the Orbiter. Over on the right-hand side you see filters, and these filters allow us to better understand who our guests are and how they use them. So let's take gender for instance. If we put just males in, and you'll see it's no longer the Orbiter that's the most popular, it's actually the Champagne Bowl. Let's put that back, and instead let's look at that 13 to 17-year-old age group that we were looking at churros for before. And here you can see Orbiter is the most popular by far. So our 13 to 17-year-olds really drive the use of the Orbiter. If we're trying to take some long-term planning, we can look at that Orbiter and say, oh, we want to hit that 13 to 17-year-old group. What can we put in that's similar to the Orbiter? We can also look at number of visits. Why don't we look at 13 to 17-year-olds that have been here 3 times. And here you can see the Orbiter is still popular, but so is the AquaTube. Again, it's helping us understand our guests, how they utilize our park, so that we can make better plans for the future. But the system can do so much more than that. It can analyze your marketing campaigns, understand the busy locations in your venue, it can help you realize additional ancillary revenues. The point is we want to partner with you to help your operations maximize efficiency and drive additional revenues. Thank you for your time today. Feel free to reach out to our sales team at insights@vantage.co.